Hello my dear students, this is Payal ma'am here. So in the previous video we have already discussed about the half part of the chapter, which is the useful insects. So in this video we are going to discuss the rest half of the chapter, which is the harmful insects. So as we all know that most of the insects we try to keep ourselves away from them. It's just because of the fact that they seem to be harmful, right? Now there are some certain characteristics which makes them harmful. So let us see a few examples of the insects which causes harm to us. So the first one is the housefly. So the houseflies, as you know, they mostly sit on the garbages and the human wastes. Okay, human waste here means the human excreta. So what these houseflies do is they sit on these garbage and the dirty things, and what they do is they collect all the germs in their feet, and when they sit on the cooked food, they rub their feet against each other and they transfer all the germs and the dirt into the uncovered food or the cooked food. And when we consume such food, then there are chances that we may fall sick. And that is the reason that you should avoid eating uncovered food and the food that are sold by the street vendors, because mostly they don't cover the food, and which makes them prone to the flies. That's the reason you need to cover the food soon after you prepare them. So these houseflies are very harmful for you. So when you consume the food which are infested or which have the germs transferred by the flies, then there are chances that you might get the disease, okay, like jaundice, cholera. Okay, so these diseases are new to you, so that's the reason that you need to practice them very frequently so that you make least errors in the spelling. Okay, so next are the blood-sucking insects. So blood-sucking insects are divided into two categories here. One are the flightless ones and the other are the insects with wings. Okay. Now we know that insects do not have the wings which are covered with feathers. They have got wings made up of membranes. Now what are membranes? These are the thin forms of skin only. Okay. And wings of birds, they are totally different from the wings of the insects. Insects have got very thin membranous wings. So these membranous wings are found in the insects like your mosquitoes too, okay, and houseflies. So what these insects like mosquitoes, what they do is they suck the blood of the humans, right? Have you noticed in your houses, like mosquitoes are very common, right? So you would have observed that they suck the blood, and while doing that they spread various diseases like malaria and dengue. So what they do is, if they suck the blood of a person suffering from malaria and dengue, and the same mosquito, if that bites a healthy person, then what is going to happen is it is going to transfer the germs from a person suffering from malaria and dengue to a healthy person. So that is the reason that you need to keep your surroundings clean in order to avoid the manifestation and the multiplication of these insects. Okay. So for dengue, to avoid dengue, you need to change the waters. Wherever the water collects around you, you need to change them very frequently. If it is found in your flower pots, you are going to change them, in the water coolers and all, so that you need to prevent, or you need to put a check on the multiplication of these mosquitoes. And wherever there is stagnant water, at least in these monsoon seasons where water collects everywhere in the pits also around you, so usually you have seen that the municipality people, what they do is they spray kerosene over it. Okay, so kerosene oil, it forms a barrier. When it is sprayed over the water, it prevents the mosquito from breathing and eventually it dies. Okay, so that's how you should keep your surroundings clean. You should prevent or you should stop the water from getting stagnant around you. Okay, keep your surroundings clean, because you know now that the mosquitoes, they spread several deadly diseases like malaria and dengue. Now, generally it's the female mosquitoes which bite. Okay, it's the female mosquitoes which bite and cause these several diseases. So, the malaria is caused by a mosquito which is called as female Anopheles. And dengue is caused by a mosquito named Aedes. So you're going to remember these names. These might come in various forms of questions. Okay, you might be asked in the fill in the blanks, MCQs, anything. Now you don't know like what will be the pattern. So just memorize all the spellings and try to remember them. Okay. Now this was about the ones which fly. Now the flightless insects which suck blood are known as fleas. So that's the difference. One is able to fly and the another is flightless. So the flightless are known as fleas. Now fleas, there are various types. There are various categories, and you have already got a few fleas named and the pictures are given in your book. So you can very easily imagine them through those diagrams. Okay, apart from that, one important flea that is mentioned in your book that you're going to remember is the flea which is found on the rodents like rats, which cause a very deadly disease known as bubonic plague. Okay, so bubonic plague you're going to remember. You're going to underline that in your book. It's very important. It might come in any of the questions. So please remember that it's the flea which is found on the rodents like rats that causes bubonic plague. So that's why you need to keep your surroundings clean. If there are rats, if rats happen to inhabit your house, you need to kill them, because they might have those fleas which might cause this deadly disease. Now moving on with the stinging insects. Now stinging insects are also very common, like your honeybees. You know that honeybees sting. Now there's a difference between biting and stinging. Okay, we won't say that the honeybees bite, rather they sting. Now they have got a sting, okay, a tube like thing which is found at their back. Now what they do is when they sting, a acid like chemical, it goes inside your skin and that leads it to swell up and cause redness and itching. So you must have noticed that if a honeybee stings somewhere, it causes itching and redness over there, and after a few minutes it swells up. Okay, so it is the effect of that chemical which is released through that sting. So what we generally do is we try to remove that sting as soon as possible so that it further doesn't cause us more pain. And apart from that, in order to lessen the pain, we can apply some ointments which are readily available in the markets, or what we can do is we can apply some toothpaste. Now toothpaste, it has got some chemicals which balances the acids released through the sting, and that's why the pain gets lessened and the itchiness is also reduced. So these stinging insects are also harmful for us because they cause swelling, they cause redness, they cause itchiness. So you're going to remember the insects which sting. Now moving on with one exception to insect, which is the spider. Now generally the insects have got 3 pairs of legs, but spider has got 8, right? And that's why it has been categorized under a different category which is called as arachnids. What they are called as arachnids. ARACHNIDS. You can search it over the internet. Okay, this is not required for you. I'm just giving you extra information like I always do. Okay, so these are falling under different category because they are exceptional. They are not falling under the same category of insects. Now what these spiders do is, you might have seen that they create cobwebs, they create webs everywhere around, and your mother has to always, clean those things, right? She need to clean that. So what the spiders do is they release a liquid, okay? They secrete a liquid, and that converts into fine thread like thing. You must have seen how, if you observe a spider very carefully, you will see that how beautifully they create that web, okay? How efficiently they do that. And those webs are very thin and they cannot be easily detected by the insects. So what they do is, if any insects by chance it fails to see those web and it falls into that trap, the spider immediately it weaves a thread around itself, around that insect, and traps it, and then it after eventually it just feeds on it. Okay, so that's about the spiders. And the insects, as we know that few of them are harmful. We have already studied that insects also help in pollination and various other things, so they are helpful for us, and in some other way they are harmful also. So how to get rid of these harmful insects? So you must have seen that we keep on spraying pesticides and insecticides, right, in order to kill them. So those are chemical options which are available in the market also. So apart from that, you must have seen that your parents also opt for something which is organic, which is readily available, okay, and which is devoid of chemicals. That is your neem leaves. Neem leaves are very good in keeping away the insects. So the neem leaves, the dried neem leaves, if they are kept, in between the clothes and all, then it prevents the growth of insects in the clothes. And apart from that, kerosene oil. Now you might have seen that the wood gets infected by termites, and the termites, they eat up the wood and damages the furniture. So what we can do is we can spray some kerosene oil over it in order to prevent the growth of these insects inside the wood and further reduce the damage of our wooden furnitures. Apart from that, even turmeric is also a very good insect repellent. Like if you see a line of ants, colony of ants found somewhere near your home, what you can do is you can just sprinkle a pinch of turmeric over that colony, and you will soon see that the ants have gone. Okay, and apart from the ants found in the sugar, what our mothers generally do is they keep a cube of camphor in that jar of the sugar. So that is also a very good insect repellent. The camphor or kapoor, it just drives away the ants from the sugar. But then the sugar also tastes a bit, it gets the smell of the camphor also. So that's one disadvantage. But so these are the few methods which are mentioned in your book. Now I'm going to also give you the question and answers of this chapter. And the parents and the students who are asking for the question and answers of the previous chapters, let me tell you, you need to watch the entire video, okay? All the question and answers I generally give at the end of the video. So what you can do is you can watch the entire video if you haven't, and if you have already watched it, then you can skip and directly go at the end. So you will find all the question answers of the previous chapter. Of this chapter, insects, I am going to attach with this video at the end of the chapter. Okay, now moving on with the solved exercises of the chapter. So let us begin with something to know, fill in the blanks. So first one is, butterflies are attracted to dash flowers. So the answer is fresh flowers. Second, honeybees suck dash from flowers. So the answer is honeybees suck nectar from flowers. Third, the six-sided chambers of beehives are called dash. Answer is combs. Fourth, malaria is spread by the bite of female dash. So it is female Anopheles. Next, fifth, the cover weaved by a silk moth around itself is called a dash? And the answer is cocoon. Bees and wasps are stinging insects. So you'll get this in the example of the stinging insects. So bees and wasps both are stinging insects. Now moving on with the true and false. So the first is insects help in pollination, which is absolutely true. Second, lac insects grow on banyan trees. That's right, because they grow on banyan trees, so it's true. Third, houseflies spread malaria. So we know that the mosquitoes spread malaria, not the houseflies. So it is false. Next, Aedes mosquito spreads dengue, which is true. Fifth, bubonic plague is caused by a mosquito. So we know that bubonic plague is caused by a flea. So that's a false. Okay, now next, moving on with tick the correct option. So the first is the insect that usually spreads jaundice is the sea housefly. Now second is honeybees make honey from bee nectar. The sting of insects like the bees and wasps is located on their bee back. Fourth, an insect that helps to save our crops from pests is the bee ladybird beetle. Now moving on with the question and answers. So answer the following questions in brief. First, what is pollination? So the answer is the process of shifting of pollen grains from one place to another is called pollination. So I would request you, like you always do, take a screenshot of these question and answers, and you can note down in your copies if you haven't copied these, or if you have already done this, you can memorize it too. Now moving on with the next question, which is where do bees store the nectar? So as you already know, the answer is honey bees store nectar in the combs of their bee hives. Next, third, name the insect that gives us silk. What does it feed on? So we know that the answer is we get silk from silk moths, which feeds on which leaves? Mulberry leaves. Now the next question, name the diseases that get spread by houseflies. So we have already learned the diseases. So the answer is diseases like diarrhea, cholera and jaundice get spread by the houseflies. So remember these spellings very well, because these spellings are new to you. Okay, now moving on with the next question, which is E. Answer the following questions. First, how does a silk moth weave a cocoon? So the answer is the silk moth secretes a liquid which changes into a fine thread. The moth weaves a cover around itself with this thread. This cover is called a cocoon. Now the next question, how is honey collected from a beehive? So the answer is honey is collected from a beehive by lighting a fire under it. The heat and smoke drives the bees out of the hive. The honey collectors then remove the hive and collect the honey stored in it. Now next question. Okay, what is lac? State its 4 uses. So the answer is the 4 uses of lac are as follows. Lac is used in paints. Second, varnishes. Third, printing ink. And fourth, for making bangles. Now here children, there is a different pattern being asked usually in the exams. Like in the previous year, it was asked, the same question was asked, but in a twisted manner. They had asked that write the uses of lac in the form of a web chart. So if such a question comes in the exam, then you do not worry about that. It's very simple. So this is how a web chart looks like. Okay. So the uses of lac you're going to write in the center, and all the uses you will be putting into the boxes and you will be putting in the corners like I've done over here.
Okay, so this is how a web chart is done. So all the uses, as you can see here, as it is used in making paints, varnishes, printing ink and bangles, is given on the sides in the boxes, and at the center is the uses of lacs. How do houseflies spread diseases? When houseflies sit on garbage or animal excreta, they gather germs and carry them on their feet and bodies. When these flies sit on any food item, the germs are passed on to the food, causing diseases. Now the next question and the last question of this chapter is, fifth, how can we save ourselves from harmful insects? So the answer is, we can save ourselves from harmful insects by using the following methods. First, by using chemicals called insecticides or pesticides. Second, by keeping dried neem leaves in clothes. Third, by applying neem or kerosene oil on wooden furniture. So, as I would like to repeat again that after every question and answer you do, please give ending lines.
So I hope this lecture or this video was useful to you. If it was, then please do like, share and subscribe like you always do. All the parents and all the students, I'm very thankful to them and very grateful for them. They have been asking about my whereabouts, like where I was for all these days. So I'm very thankful to you for watching my videos, for appreciating my efforts, and keep doing the same. Like it, share it and subscribe so that even others get benefit of this. Thank you.